the funniest things I've ever seen is you trying to live paint at a place where everybody knows you, and you could not fucking put brush to to vinyl at all because everybody was like, "Hey, what's up, Serge?" Blah blah, and then people would come in and then they would go and like you would try to start and then like it was just so ridiculous.
God.
It was like the most. It was like my favorite live painting performance I've ever seen because it's like somebody that just could not get any work done because everybody was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And I was part of it, you know.
Yeah.
But then I stepped back and I was like, "Oh shit." Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm your host, Javier Proenza. Every week, my guests and I share the answers we found to the questions we have. Join us as we explore and expand our worldview and ask what's my thesis. And today, my guest is friend of the show, Serge Wiltron, on his return. We haven't, we've seen each other, but we haven't done a show together since hell broke loose. And now we're slowly clawing ourselves back to reality.
We are going back to normalcy.
Yeah, isn't it exciting, dude?
Yeah, it's insane, but definitely it's getting back to where we left off or whatever,
Whatever trauma we had.
we're both we're coasting through trauma and we're still I still think it's like 2020.
Yeah.
I'm looking at being in like 2023 and I'm just like, what happened? What did I do?
I napped for 2 years, literally, and like half of those were drunk naps.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely.
Dude, oh my God, we don't have to get into all the trauma, but I do like when we were talking just now, I was laughing at the idea of like how happy I am to get back to boredom and to get back to like just the mundane elements of life, you know. But you've had some exciting shit happen because the last time you were in your studio, we talked about your plant collection.
Yeah.
How bad was the plant holocaust?
It's like a more like, was it Chernobyl?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And apologize for using the Holocaust analogy just to be safe.
Let's go with a radioactive.
Yeah.
So, I lost like a large percent of my plant babies in the fire.
So for people that don't know you as personally as I do,
Mm-hmm.
you had a fire at your studio, which
Correct.
was the studio that we had. That's the Chernobyl that, when I was a kid, you couldn't drink milk in Italy because of the radiation from Chernobyl.
So expanded? Like it was
there was like, all of Europe was contaminated.
Oh shit.
Yeah. You had to get the Parmalat instead of like latte fresca, which is fresh milk.
Yeah. That's insane how radiation just travels and pours into the soil and everything.
Yay!
Around it. Basically,
I accidentally hit like we accidentally stumbled into like a possibly political World War III topic. Let's get out of here.
It could get really dark sometimes.
But let's get back to the fire. Let's go back to the lighter story of the fire that affected your life and
definitely a year ago. Like, of course, I lost my studio in a fire in Little Tokyo. I was there for about a good 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
After I was still in school. I found a space in downtown in Little Tokyo and just started making my art practice and eventually, expanding and moving to a bigger space in the same building. And that caught fire in July, I think. I can't even remember. And so I lost, my whole art practice of like 9 years and including, precious artifacts and plants and everything else. Since, our studios are not just like where we make work and where we decipher ideas and create things. It's a second home for most of us. We go there, we spend our time, and we work out the kinks, and we make something. And so I try to make my studio as much as my home would be, not necessarily with like the amenities of a bed or something like that, but definitely
it's pretty close, man. I mean, it's stylized. It definitely feels like it feels like you.
Thank you.
And there's no plants here.
There's probably two. One is like one of my buddies gave me some clippings from a show that he helped install at CAM from a artist who was there. He ended up getting like this like Monstera. I think it's like Adansonii, which is kind of it's considered like a cheese. A Swiss cheese Monstera, which has a bunch of like holes in there. And so it's literally in kind of like this
My eyes are
hydroponic.
my eyes are glazing over. You're using all these technical terms.
So it's in
No, someone's gonna know what this is.
yeah. So it's like in a hydroponic like system. It's basically on water. I'm just like, and it's like in the solo cup, which is so. it's
I see it right there.
I see it. There's very chic and stuff. And
It's funny. I saw the plant, and when you were describing it, the words that you used, I didn't recognize what. They're so technical.
So basically, it's surviving on water. It's not rooted in soil. I'm as much as I want to like green up the space. I like kind of bringing nature into my personal space. In this newer studio, which we're in the new studio
Mhm.
at the Bendix, I just wanted to keep it very minimal and very just non work tedious kind of like because I had probably like over 100 plants in my last space.
Yeah,
And
no, we talked about
yeah,
it
and
last
so like
time.
when it came to like watering, like Sundays were my watering session. Like that's where I would be like friends would be texting me or like, hey, let's go grab a drink, and I'm like, I'm watering my plants, I can't.
There's a little Casey Anthony vibe here, where you're like, I killed my babies, now it's time to party.
So now I'm enjoying my free time basically from my responsibilities.
From your dependence.
My dependence, but I still have my personal space. I still have plants and stuff, but here in the studio it's very minimal, and I'm enjoying actually making work instead of like beautifying as much as I want that. I'll get there maybe later on after maybe the new year.
But like I said, I mean, we were trying to include your table, your work table. The space has an aesthetic that I didn't necessarily want to cover up. Right now, we only ended up with just one wall.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can tell, but if you look closely, the floor and the top of these paintings don't line up, and we couldn't figure out why the fuck that is, but we're going with it.
I think it's unleveled, the actual.
But I still don't
unit.
understand why that happened, because I should be able to. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, hopefully it's not my craftsmanship. I'm making like wonky frames. I don't think so. I'm pretty good at making frames.
yeah, the wide shot, at least to us, looked like a optical illusion, especially in this like behind my butt area. So if it looks like I have a big butt, or like I needed more space for it, it wasn't intentional.
It's not leg days, right?
What's that?
Your leg days, like in
No,
gym.
no. Although I have been trying to get back into shape.
Dude, I started doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
No.
No, I started doing that. It's insane. It's like it's one of those like I started because I wanted to build my strength after
Yeah.
COVID. COVID really fucked me up with like those long COVID symptoms. And so I started getting like more of like this arthritis pain in my hands. And as an artist, we use our hands constantly. So like it's like one of the things it made me once I started, going through like a steroid treatment and kind of going medical, I noticed that
Wait, did you have like long COVID or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
like
did. Okay, I missed that. I didn't know that. I'm sorry about that. That's rough.
Thank you. No, I had it like in the early, I think the early
So Delta wave era.
the OG one or something,
Yeah.
whatever. And so
That's
fucked me over.
Yeah.
I don't even know, but I think I had got COVID maybe like before like 2019. One of my good friends has like an annual like Christmas party, and it's like he invites everyone from downtown, all these great friends and stuff. And one of our buddies was actually working in Beijing and was
Mhm.
like in Hubei, and so he ended up was in like in the party and stuff, and like 12 of us got similar symptoms.
Oh wow.
And we got it like I'm not sure if I'm not saying like I did or didn't, but it was very similar when I got it in 2020, and it was same. It was insane. Like I
Wait, so he had it how long before?
like months before because he was
Months.
traveling.
Oh,
so
okay.
In 2029.
Because it happened really like at the beginning of the year. Okay,
so
I was
he
like,
was out there and he was like traveling and
I just-
working.
since we're talking about COVID, I was being careful because I was like, I hope he's not on some conspiracy shit.
No. But it
and
could
get
be.
and get vaccinated and all of that stuff. Follow the science, please.
Yes.
Yay!
You're like I want to.
I want to keep my channel, and I think I got vaccinated, and
I did
you did
too,
too.
yeah.
We were very pro-vax here.
This is like not Joe Rogan. and stuff. And
No. I mean, we can talk about any of that stuff off of my podcast.
oh, nice. Yeah, definitely. But
I mean, not that you were doing that. I just, just to be extra safe. Not that you were putting me in
yeah.
the spot.
No,
Yeah.
but definitely, like, it was one of those things, like, we 12 people got like similar symptoms,
Yeah.
and then later on, but it was like insane because like probably it did or didn't, because like I remember New Year's Eve, like I still went out, even though it was like in my bed, like, having chills. I ended up like going to someone who I was like seeing at the time, like dragged me to go to a bar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and somehow I ended up like going, and it was like one of those. But yeah, no, so definitely I've been doing like the Muay Thai, and I've been doing that for like 3 months and stuff, and it's very mental. Like,
Yeah.
it's as much as like I go to my studio and I do work, and uh, that allows me to clear my mind, and just kind of disconnect from the world and just our mundane kind of work. Um, Definitely going back to doing exercise or going to a gym and stuff. That's something I never did.
Really?
I didn't never like sweating. I never like doing stuff that made me like just like change my clothes into
Well,
like
probably when you were like with a lady, you liked sweating, but not.
oh no. No. But the thing is, like, it's but definitely, like, now, like, one of my buddies who's a professional fighter who does MMA, like, he was like,
Yeah.
hey, let me help you out, build your strength and do this. And I'm like, okay, it's better for me to do this. And I'm like, so I've been keeping at it, and I love it. It's like, of course I'm not going to be competing and stuff. And
No,
I'm like,
no.
I could definitely keep my ground.
But do you do sparring and stuff?
Sparring,
Yeah.
sparring is so sick.
Yeah.
Sparring is one of those, like, you're on like this whole gear. You have like a headgear, you have a mouthpiece, and of course, like, your groin area is covered with like this metal cup basically to protect you. But it's very.
I'm assuming I know where that cup goes.
It's not a drinking cup, and so
although
no, it could be in a fetish, kinks and stuff. Each their own.
Or
And
in a
so-
celebration, how athletes like to humiliate each other.
I can see that as like
Here, drink out of my cup, you rookie. Sorry.
Oh. But definitely it's a very mental kind of sport. It's like, very like, you did soccer growing up and stuff, and I also did soccer growing up as well, not professionally, but just kind of like as little league, not little league, but
Just kids.
kids and stuff. And
that shit gets competitive, man.
oh, definitely parents, and dude, my dad was super competitive as a kid, as growing up, like in sports, since he played soccer and he was like all about soccer. Now we're going to the World Cup. That's what we're seeing now. It's like, even though I don't follow soccer as much as I used to in the past, it's nice, sitting down with my parents and seeing it, or even like friends that I haven't catched up with. And soccer brings people together. It's insane. It's a global sport.
And you don't even have to like play it. You can just drink.
That's always the best part.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Well, and then also just one last thing. Sorry to harp on it, but we don't give medical advice here either.
No WebMD, right?
Yeah. No. But what? Like, that's actually funny because that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I started rock climbing because like I've just been doing work from home shit, and it's like pretty isolating. So I didn't want to go to a gym. So I started going to the one out here in the brewery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And actually just realized that one of my past guests goes there. I don't necessarily want to like drop too many names, but I was like, but one past guest of the show was like climbing there, and I'm like, oh, now I have a belay buddy, because they have self belay machines, but it was really cool. But yeah, and then I used to coach soccer professionally at like competitive level at club, and it is a shady business.
Oh, like that.
And so like I have baggage with it, but I was watching it, and as I was watching, I was like, God damn it, I don't care that this stadium was built by slaves. There's something about this fucking event. It's all nostalgia, like listening to Andres Cantor.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy's voice, and just like listening to his corny jokes. and then the what's it called? The novela anuncios. You know? It's like it gets dramatic.
You can't watch soccer in like another language except Spanish. It's like insane how much it's like it's a soap opera and live streaming, live and live feed and stuff. So it's insane. I remember seeing it in English, and I'm just like, what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. And it is and I think that like with yearly events, you can just kind of forget him.
Yeah.
And with like the Olympics, the only thing that I really care about is the soccer anyway, because it's all like the
Yeah.
under 20s and then like 3 veterans.
Mhm.
But so you get to see like the up and coming talent that's gonna be like your main team in the future. But like that 4 year gap makes it such a nostalgic thing. You're like, oh man, you remember every single one, and like going back to when you were a kid, like there's something really manipulative
Oh yeah.
about how they've like planned this thing. Cause like seriously, I mean, it is not a good organization by
No, no,
any
no.
stretch of
But
the imagination.
what is it like? You can. There's no alcohol being served,
That I
and
actually don't mind
they're
because Budweiser's getting fucked, and and they're kind of one of the problems when they do it at other places that where they just kind of like fuck everybody.
and
But
yeah, it's insane. Like even the humanitarian rights and stuff, and
yeah,
just like it's in.
it's awful, but it's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah. I was watching the earlier game today, which if you didn't catch the game, it was Mexico with Poland, right?
Yeah,
And so I didn't see completely everything just because we're in the holiday seasons. Thanksgiving is like a couple of days away, and we're trying to fight over cranberry and any type of like potatoes at the grocery store right now, which is insane. But that in itself is like another sport.
yeah, dude. No, I mean we're right on the cusp of like Thanksgiving, which is the other thing weird thing about this World Cup. Like it is so bizarre because it's winter, fall. I mean, I guess it's fall. No, it's winter. Like the 22nd
Yeah,
November,
definitely. Like it
Like
changes. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like winter right now, and that's not normal for World Cup soccer. And they had to move it because like they were gonna build an air conditioned studio or an air
I
conditioned
didn't know that.
arena, and then they just failed, and they were like, all right, we'll just move it. It is one of the most corrupt organizations. I stopped coaching because I was like, well, this is shady. And then the next step above me is shady. At no point does it stop being shady.
It's just like peeling layers of like just
Yeah.
like
Like if FIFA is corrupt, what hope does like AYSO even have? Not that I was club, but I'm saying like even to
yeah,
that
yeah.
degree, right? So yeah. But yeah, so you were talking about how you're a vegan, but you know how to cook meat. How does that happen?
Uh, I've been vegan for about like 10 years,
Mm.
a good 10 years. But the thing is,
I didn't
like,
know, so he's not annoying. Don't fucking
no,
comment. Don't at us.
don't. The thing is, like, for me, like being vegan, it's like it's never been something that's an identity. Like, I've never put it as
Yeah.
like, I'm a vegan. Uh, it's like, I'm not trying to. Eventually, I went veganism because of health issues. I
Mhm.
started to go with it just because I was dealing with like
7 years, you said?
yeah, it's, close to 10 years.
Oh, close to 10. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I went for it for just health reasons. I wanted to get better shaped, and also I wanted to clear my skin. So at the time I was dealing with acne.
Your skin looks great, by the way.
Thank
So
you.
congrats.
Yeah,
Good job.
veganism
Yeah, good job with
and
veganism. Good
genes and like
endorsement.
moisturizing.
Yeah.
But definitely it was when it was like eventually when like just like health wise, and then eventually went to like animal rights and just
Yeah.
consciousness and being aware of like what you voted to when you buy things. But definitely, I'm never that.
We're just talking about all my evil vices now.
No.
I immediately thought of a burger and I'm like, oh my God, slaves, burgers.
Oh yeah, but
No,
there's
but that's not you weren't putting it on me like that. That's my own guilt. That's Catholicism.
oh I was raised Roman Catholic, so
I know.
I know.
Last time that we talked, I got mad at you because you were like, "No, Catholicism didn't give me guilt," and I was like,
It
"It's
did.
it." I knew you were lying,
I was just
motherfucker.
like masking it. I was like
Yeah.
my poor mother would like be like rolling in her like bed and stuff. I was like talking bad about Catholicism. No, but going back to veganism, it's one of those like I've kept it and I enjoy it. Most of my friends are not vegan. Like a
Yeah, yeah,
large percent of my friends are. It's ever like when we go out, I'm like we need to go to a vegan like place.
yeah.
I understand like the situation. I understand especially in LA, there's more options than most other spaces. There's always vegan options, or there's always a open bar
Hmm.
that you can go to and just like get drinks and have your friends like just enjoy their meal. If you don't want to participate in eating, but there's like any options in LA, they have options.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier being down here. But when I was telling you earlier, like my mom makes like more of like a uh spicier turkey, like a
Mm.
very like Louisiana with spices and uh even though like we're not referencing like the South, but definitely it's like very
Is it just did she pick it off of a website kind
I
of
don't know. It's like
thing?
different
It's
like
is it
mixtures.
handed down?
It's a mixture like spices, like in Spanish, or they call it like pollo chilado.
Chilao.
Yeah, and so like different spices, different things, and it similar like reminds me of, like Cajun chicken.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I mean, but you guys definitely.
yeah, so my mom like makes it like that. So they're down. My parents are down here for Thanksgiving, so like I'm helping with like prepping food since like my siblings don't know how to cook. It's like it's not wrong. It's like I don't fault them for them. They have busy lives, and I don't mind touching meat
Mhm.
uh, because like for me it's something that like I'm not disgusted of it. Um, I'll help
You are
out.
meat.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I've had conversations with other vegans, and they're like, "Oh my god, why would you
Yeah.
like do that?" And I'm like, by all means, like, everyone has like their. I think it's a balance. I'm not buying the things like or I'm just helping prep. And
Yeah.
so even like leather goods, like I have leather
You're not
goods.
letting it go to waste, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
like
And
the
also,
animal's already dead.
what else are you gonna do with it? But
Yeah.
definitely, hopefully, do not
Other
like
other
thumbs down us or something for this.
yeah.
But yeah, no, even like
Oh,
leather.
no, the vegans on YouTube are fucking rabid.
Oh yeah, I used to be one of those like
Rabid?
crazy.
I think I combined ravenous and rabid and said rabid.
Oh my god. But even leather goods, going back to that, I have leather goods,
Yeah.
and it's something like I bought before I went vegan, or they were given as gifts. I don't go and personally buy leather goods, and but it really depends. Like I think everything has a balance. It
Mm.
shouldn't be like super right, super left. I think you find a middle ground and what you're comfortable with, and you go with it.
Oh man, that's gonna get you canceled. You shouldn't be too right or too left.
Oh shit! I'm like,
I'm kidding, but that is something that like people are like, no, they're all evil.
no, I've seen that. I've seen
No,
like
yeah,
like.
we definitely don't have to talk about this.
Oh
I was just making a
yeah,
joke.
no, no, but I've seen that even like in downtown towards Vernon, like
Yeah.
that. There used to be like Joaquin Phoenix and like other celebrities who would like protest and do like vigils for like the animals going into the slaughterhouse down there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was like a big thing, and even I didn't participate in that just because I just didn't feel like it was my part or my fight to do. But definitely I was always like cool on them.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I as much shit as I talk, I've been to like 3 protests in my life.
yeah.
I'm very fragile.
Oh, nice. He's nice.
No, I mean, I've been to a couple, but it not like it's not. There are very few things that would get me out in protest. Mostly like really horrible shit.
Oh,
I was just listening to an episode of a show called The Dollop about the what's it called, Rodney King stuff,
oh shit.
and I'm like, man, I don't even think about that shit anymore. It's so crazy. There's a whole generation that doesn't even know about that. This
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild how like the the etherealness of like movements like that, you know, because like it's
yeah,
like how long can you keep them going, you know, before you're like, fuck, I'm tired. It's time to sell out.
yeah. No, even like the running.
Capitalism wears on you.
Growing up, like of course, like we saw it on television, but the thing is, like we were I don't know how old I was when that shit happened.
Oh, the riots, yeah.
Yeah, so even that was just insane. Even now, like
The riots were in 92 because the beating happened in 91, correct? I think so.
I don't
Because I think I
know.
was here already when the riots started. Because I moved in 92 in August to the US.
Oh, gotcha.
So that was like one of the first things that I
You know
remember.
what? I actually remember. I don't remember the actual riots, but I was too young for that. But the thing is, I remember seeing it on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Yeah, I think something
They
like
had
that.
like kind of like a crossover or something like that. And I remember like learning about it through that. But I do remember like bigger like events. I think uh, when we go back to um, what other events did I see?
Well, the one that I missed entirely was the battle in Seattle, which was like some protests for I forget even what it was, but there was a movie with Charlize Theron in it.
Oh, nice, I
About,
like her.
yeah, yeah, she's pretty. Well, I can just stop the sentence there.
She's like a model for Dior.
She's fucking.
Yeah.
She's talented. She made Vin Diesel. This is not my opinion. I got this from someone else, but this she made Vin Diesel a good actor in Fast and the Furious
Oh,
franchise.
she
Like,
was in no
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Which one?
She plays Cypher. She's in 9 and 8, I think.
Okay, so not the first one, or
Yeah.
later on, like in that
Oh
franchise
yeah, dude. It's like when
when they go to space or something.
yeah, well, actually, that is one of the ones.
I didn't see it. I didn't pay money. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, dude! Oh, I could do a whole fucking thesis on that, on those movies and how great they are. They're better than Marvel. They're better than any franchise. Like I'll fucking take you on with my Vin.
I remember seeing the first
It's got
one.
tragedy in it. Paul Walker died. Sorry.
No, there's more to it. There's I remember seeing it as a kid, and then it was like everyone was trying like to be part of that culture, drifting,
Yeah.
and like we don't even have a license or anything. We're still and like I don't even know how great I was, but everyone wanted to be in that kind of like subculture, and I'm just like, it's just
Yeah.
shit happens. It's like um
What was your subculture as a kid? Were
um
you a skater at all or no?
I kind of like I started skating, blading, like with and skating, skateboarding
Aggressive
with kids and
inline?
stuff. We used to go with like the neighborhood kids and stuff. My friends were always into skating and stuff. We would go to, uh, actually growing up, we had a pool, and so when my parents like um, uh, drenched it to like retile it, we
Oh, okay.
basically used the pool. So in the summer, we were just like all my friends were there. We were just skating, going down the actual. It was like a 12-foot like pool, going
Wow,
deep
wow,
and
wow.
stuff.
And it's like it's got curved
Yeah,
edges.
it
Yeah.
curved edges and stuff. I remember as a kid just going and just like hauling and eating
Oh,
fucking shit
yeah.
on the floor and stuff. But that was probably like like kind of like the I was not really a nerd growing up. Like I didn't do like Star Wars or anything like that.
No, yeah.
But definitely I did like more anime like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and all that's of
I'm
course like Dragon Ball
jealous.
Z.
I'm jealous of people that grew up with the good Pokemon games.
Oh, nice.
Because I've never played any of them, but people like I played Pokemon Go and I was like, oh, I could see how these games would
Dude,
be
I grew
awesome.
up with like just like the Game Boy and like being just obsessed with it. And then when I went to color, it was just like
Yeah.
it's like no way. It's basically I
Did you go
think
to DS, Nintendo DS, and all that?
I did,
3DS?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
later on. But then definitely I grew up with like Nintendo as a system. Like growing up, like of course we had the Mario's, we had like the Street Fighters, we had,
Yeah.
and then eventually going to Sega's, and then going to like Mortal Kombat. And I think my childhood was basically based on that, uh, consumerism of just uh action sport, not action like uh visuals and seeing like combats and stuff like that. And that was probably my growing up, like
Just playing like first
basically.
person shooters and stuff,
Yeah,
like
and I
violent stuff.
remember, and then eventually going like Halo later on and stuff. But that definitely like it's uh that was a large percent. Me and my cousins, like I grew up with like
I've
my
spent
family
hours.
is massive. It's like insane. Like from my dad's side, they're like 14 siblings, and my mom's
Wow.
side, they're like 10.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of cousins and first cousins that I grew up with. And so just, trying to jam everyone and playing a system was like, that was like
Gets
my childhood. It gets
competitive.
competitive, and you're trying
Trash
to,
talk is off
it
fucking
was insane. Like we would trash talk to the point that people would be like crying, but then trying to
yeah.
like throw hands and stuff. And it's just like, but that was my childhood, and also playing too. Like I grew up like in the same like uh, you know culture of like involving with the internet and I actually did have a childhood. I enjoyed going out and playing in the streets and playing
Mhm.
games and uh when my parents were like when the street lights turn on, you're supposed to be inside.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I remember as a kid, like enjoying my outside time, and even like my brother, like growing up, he didn't really do that. He was mostly in his consoles and internet and like all that stuff and social media. But for me, like growing up in like in the '90s and stuff, that was partially a benefit for me. I enjoyed those times of
Yeah.
nostalgia.
Yeah, dude. I mean, my parents didn't let us watch television unless it was like specific things at a specific time. The TV wasn't just running all the time, and I can't imagine what kids are like today. Like what that life is like of just like
Yeah,
serotonin triggers
yeah.
everywhere. Like, I mean, my brain can barely handle it, and I'm an adult.
You're like flashing here, instant feeds here and there and reels and
Yeah, dude. And then, well, I mean, now I've kind of just changed my diet entirely because I'm just doing clips for the show
yeah.
now. So like the fucking I need to do it enough still to where I don't have to think about it because I still think about it. I'm still checking. Like that's not healthy, you know? So like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's interesting to like try to figure out that balance where you like just automate it, but then don't check it, you
Yeah.
know? Cause like I'm still in the place where I want the data, but I'm not going to get the data that fast, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I got 2 more. I got 3 more.
But that's
It's more like the algorithm's still pushing it. The algorithm, you know, to check to see if it's like died down. Like all of that shit is toxic. So
yeah.
I've been on a break of that. Yeah.
I think like having a social like a media like break is definitely needed. I think in order to function, definitely like when you go on vacation, I usually turn off and disconnect.
Yeah.
Usually when I go to Palm Springs or I go to like a destination, even though as much as you want to upload and show people, it's like sometimes you just need to do things for yourself. And you know, we grew up in that culture of like you know Facebook and MySpace.
Yeah.
And
MySpace was,
MySpace was like insane. And so I remember like, you know, being a coder, like being a person who was coding into like, you know, going to these generators and like putting like these like weird, like I want this and that through my page. And I'm like, I didn't know it was like a programmer or some like minute, you know, kind of like using um, tutorials online. And this is before YouTube, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So like there was no like informative, like, you know, how to do things now.
Yeah.
And
Now it like YouTube is the craziest resource in the
yeah.
world, dude.
Everywhere. Like my students use YouTube for any
Yeah.
reference, and I'm just like shit. Or even my parents and grandparents, I'm like, how do you fucking know? My grandpa when he was using Facebook when he was still alive, he would do like video like editing on it, and I'm like, how do you do this? And he's like YouTube, and it's insane. But it's one of those like it's a useful tool. Like if you don't use it, it's there, it's free, it's public.
It's a pretty crazy. I mean, as Instagram gets more useless,
Yeah.
or Instagram is not useless. The thing is that Instagram, you have to hit it all the time to grow at the same rate. That you have to hit it daily,
Oh
which
yeah.
is why I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it. But then with the main thing is, guys, like if you make content for YouTube, it's always going to be pushed to some
Yeah.
degree. I mean, obviously not, you know, like some stuff probably dies down. I'm not saying everything, but like anything you post on Instagram, it has a short shelf life. It
Yeah.
stops getting pushed around. Whereas with YouTube, like I have videos, like my videos, I can't beat my old videos because they've just been longer. They've been around longer, so like they still get suggested more.
Yeah.
You know, like the closest I have like videos that have a high rate. I'm like barely touching it on just new releases, which is good because that means that I'm catching up to myself. But at the same time, it's like, you know, every time I'll be like, oh, I'm at this number, and it's like, oh no, but that one is still rising.
Are you monetizing?
I mean, I have to get much farther, but I was closer to it the first time around before stopping. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do this for nothing. And then eventually, I'd like to be like, you know, and maybe this has to do with my narcissism, be able to pay my friends to be on the show.
Oh yeah.
You know, like just have enough income from coming in from the show that I can be like, hey man, come on the show. I'm paying you.
Yeah. Like that's a bigger sense of no. It's like, but that comes with like, you know, you're definitely like that algorithm pushing content, and just I know friends who are content creators, and
Yeah.
it's just insane how much work it is.
I mean, I've done it for other shows, and
Yeah.
it's insane. You almost have to do it either full time or just not give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
or actually, the working from home helps. You know.
Yeah. If you're able to like sustain like full time and do that on the side, I think that's more doable. But going in the office or doing like something, that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It and the stress of like your shit not performing is not fun. It's like when the what's my thesis stuff doesn't do great, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll get there. At work, I'm like, they're paying me this much.
Yeah, but I've seen like the evolve of what's my thesis from like when we did it a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, I did it a year ago, and it was like
Well, we did it together.
Yeah, I'm taking credit of it.
By the way, I want to ask you: you didn't think it was weird that I told you I was excited to lick it today?
Oh wait. Okay,
I was like, I looked back at it and I was like, oh my God, I'm never inviting anyone onto the podcast. I'm never like, no woman is ever going to be invited to kick it ever again.
Kick it and lick it.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
the autocorrect put
autocorrect.
it.
It's like when you type in like dick and it says duck or
but like in the opposite direction in the worst way possible.
It's like
I was so
read
lucky it was you.
I read it. I was just like I was like laughing. I was like, oh my god.
Did you know what I meant?
Yeah, it's
okay,
kick it.
okay,
I was like,
okay.
it's kick it, and that's why I was like, LOL, just like laughing out, and it was so funny. I was like, but these are like kind of like it happens with like messaging
Yeah,
in the form.
but I know I've seen like examples of where like that happens and the person doesn't believe you.
Oh, I've done those texts where you send someone and
And I meant it for someone else. It's like, yeah, right.
And no, I text someone something like that, and
Like an angry message.
no,
Yeah.
like something like not even angry.
Oh,
it's
like sexual?
sexual, and like
That's the worst.
it was someone else, like an actual close friend. I was like, oh my god. I ended up like taking screenshots of like the person I was sending it, and I was like, this was not for you. It's for this person. And he's like, okay, cool, it's fine. He's like, no hard feelings. I'm like, okay.
Oh, it was a dude?
Yeah, it was one of my good friends.
Well, I said lick it, so I was like, there's like a strong suggestion that I'm gonna lick your dick.
Yeah,
or someone's clit in the opposite scenario. So I'm like, no, no, as it leaves your hand.
Oh yeah, but that shows you like this like instinct kind of like messaging. Like you can't. I think you could erase messages, but you can't necessarily like once a person opens it, you can't basically.
You can unsend it, but they'll see that they'll have seen it, and then they'll see that you've unsent it.
Yeah, and you'll see like a timestamp.
Yeah,
and then the person goes like, "What did you send?"
Yeah,
or they saw it, they're like, "Okay,
yeah,
where does this go?"
Anyway, I'm never inviting a woman, or I'm never going to check in the day before we're recording with anyone ever again and say kick it. Because those could be the receipts that end my career.
Oh my god! No longer what formerly known as What's My Thesis.
Yeah. But that was pretty funny. I was laughing when I saw that shit, when I caught onto it, because like you responded, and I think you were just polite enough not to comment. But then I was like, kick. But I wasn't sure if you knew what I was saying because it happened pretty fast.
Yeah, instant.
Yeah,
instant communication. That's what we got.
But yeah, man. Well, cool. So, and then I mean, not to circle back to the fire. But I was gonna say that I am like impressed with Hagop's confidence that you aren't cursed because the fire. Luckily, it's the building that's cursed because the same building burnt down a year later. Was it to the day or?
It was a couple of weeks ago. It re-insinuated like it's insane. Like I had a. I knew about it until someone texted me and was like, "Hey, your building is on fire," and I thought it was maybe from a year ago. And then one of my friends who lives in the historic core was like, "No, it's on fire again." I was like,
all right.
I was like, "Shit! Like, are you shitting me?" And like, going back to like trauma and stuff, it felt like when it first happened, I was like, ah. And so like friends were texting me, and that's the beauty about our community as artists, and especially here in LA. Especially when that first happened, people were super. People came out of the woodworks and were just sending support, and
they did a benefit for
they
that.
did a benefit
for you and the other people,
the 20
in the
people,
space.
and then like of course, and then even like I did like a GoFundMe, and like people were super generous and supportive,
and so were you. You bought paintings.
Yeah,
yourself.
definitely. And the thing is, like, it's one of those things that I learned from that experience to be open to help. I think for me, like I've always been very independent. I've always been, I need to make my own way. And sustain myself and just hustle and make things work. And when you're put in those situations that you have no control over and shit happens, I had to allow myself to let go of ego, let go of that kind of like that guilt that sometimes people get with receiving help.
Yeah.
And I don't know why is that. It might be something that we're like programmed it by culture or by just society and stuff of a handout. But definitely,
Catholicism and capitalism. We're both fucked.
Yeah. So yes,
we're at the intersection.
They
of misery.
mirror each other. They sit on the same fence.
It's like capitalism, Catholicism, sadness,
and it's
at the intersection. Like peak. It's like it's
Oh my god, I love it.
It's finding the most efficient way to produce the most amount of suffering. It's like very like like very business oriented of it, like calculus.
Definitely, yeah. But definitely like it went back to going back to the second time I got it. it burned. I was just like, fucking hell, like once again. And definitely people were reaching out, everyone was being supportive, and it just made me just like go through this whole like episode of going back into this same cycle of like re-traumatizing, like post-traumatic stress basically. And I thought I amended those like emotions and stuff. And I think we, with grief or loss, I think it's one of those things that we adjust. Loss of a person, loss of possessions and stuff, or we're able to adjust as we go. But in reality, I think if it's like an episode that just flickers it, those things come up. And so,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that that's kind sorry, I
yeah,
didn't mean to cut her off, but I think that that is interesting what you're saying, which is like that processing these things doesn't just happen and you think you're done with them, but then you're like you remember it, and then now you have a different context, a different perspective, and then you realize like that you learn something new about that hurt,
yeah,
like that's happened to me a couple times, but like that feeling of like, oh, it's still there, but like it's a different, it's like maybe more refined. It's like the it might even be more jagged because you've polished off most of the dull sides, and it's just like
yeah.
the last part that just
It's like the last episode that goes into it. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, but definitely like our community has been super supportive, and it was amazing just getting response from people, and
And
uh,
Hagope wasn't like worried that you'd
worried that I was gonna be like this like
But dude, I
curse.
mean, at that point, it's the fucking building's wiring. Jesus Christ! I mean, it's not even ghosts or like curses. And I wouldn't have even thought about you being cursed if that building wasn't so fucking cursed
Oh my god.
by bad wiring.
Uh, disclaimer.
I mean, I don't mean to badmouth the building. I have no relationship to you. His opinions are not mine.
And definitely like it's like but yeah, no, so it's crazy because there is a lawsuit going on, so that's why I'm saying disclaimer, this is not like information that's being passed by. But yeah, no, it's crazy. But that fire was, it incinerated myself to processing, but also to make more amazing stuff. And I'm now at this other building. So after the fire, I ended up going to I ended up after, actually the weeks after, I think for me, like I processed grief instantly. Like I was just like, let me mask it with work.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
do stuff. Let me do stuff.
Well, you feel like you got to make up for it. I mean, because that's one
Yeah.
thing we're kind of breezing over is like that's an erasure of like a lot of very personal thoughts, feelings,
Yeah.
things that matter to you, like, and all those little plant babies.
Yeah.
I can still hear their screams. Sorry.
It is insane because like my collection of plants was insane. Like, I had plants that were like super expensive and
Yeah,
rare. But it's just like the lighting in my old building. Like I had these like four massive, almost like wall to ceiling windows.
yeah, yeah.
And just like
It was. I mean, you could tell from just the Zoom call that
it's
it
good.
was. It was nice. Like
Thank
it was.
you.
I could hear like rainforest sounds in the background, even though they weren't there.
And some like just like some chirpings or like some like
Yeah,
very tropical
yeah, just the sound of running water,
water and stuff.
like a babbling brook. It
Oh
definitely
my
had
god, I
that
love it.
vibe.
Of a
Yeah,
metal or something.
dude, I kind of want to look at the fucking image right now, just because like my memory of it is like you. Okay, plant content in the frame, you definitely get the award out
Oh
of
nice, thank
every
you.
guest ever. And I think even in like I don't know I've ever set up in a planty place. So if that ever happens, you will get your chance to reclaim your title. I will invite you back on with whatever plant setup you want.
Nice. I
It doesn't have
literally
to be yours. We can go to a Japanese garden or something.
or just to do like a zoom kind of like background, so it's like very jagged. You see me like moving
Or
through
just
the
a green screen.
screen and stuff. But yeah, when I had that space, I told myself like I want to make. I'm like I didn't want to put curtains on my windows. I'm like if I'm gonna put curtains, I'm gonna make like a casting of trailing plants like
Mm.
as my window covers, and it looked like a jungle from outside. People were just like I would see people walking down on Third Street in Low Tokyo, and they were just like be like just like looking up, and it was a great space. And unfortunately, shit happened, and but yeah, so I ended up like finding a space in Lamar Park, which is amazing area in Inglewood, and I was there for about a year, and then
And now
Huggo.
by the way, we're at the Bendix, which means that we're neighbors. We
Yeah.
see each other all the time because of events
So
and stuff.
the
So
appendix is where it's at.
we're part of the Bendix people that see each other all the time.
Most weekends
Most
on
weekends, I
openings,
missed the last opening and I regret it, but I
people
was just
are
not there.
basically, stumbling out from like the elevator, drunk off their asses and stuff from openings, down to like Maple. But yeah, the Bendix is an amazing, building, and it's one of the few buildings in LA that I think that has the accessibility of going to multiple shows in one building. You know, drive, of course, like in LA, everyone drives. But there is like pockets I think around the world and stuff that have that like more European. If you go to Mexico City, there's especially when there's like I remember doing Kipo in 2020 before
What's
the
what's
lockdown.
Kipo?
Kipo is an art fair in Mexico City. During the art fair week, they usually have like the main kind of. It's like a more um, alternative art fair.
Hmm.
It's more.
That's pretty cool.
It's similar like down here. Like we have like Spring Break,
Hmm.
which is that art fair that happens down here.
I thought you were gonna say OPAF because I know
Oh, OPAP Festival, yeah,
yeah,
I've done
yeah.
OPAP. But definitely it's a little bit more alternative. But it's like they have like big players like
I
from
don't know Spring
everywhere.
Break. Have you shown at Spring Break?
No, no, I haven't. But it's mostly proposals. Like you submit a
No.
proposal and people make these massive, installate. It's like it's not just a show. It's like you're utilizing the booth as how to make a show. It's like
Hmm.
very immerse.
Is it indoors?
It's indoors.
Okay.
It's usually in downtown. I think I was at the rowing at the I think so that building. Uh, but yeah, the Kipo is like one of those that is in Mexico City that happens, and they have that similar structure, having all these like one building that you go into.
Yeah.
But also they have like the more established art fairs, like you have Material, you have Soto Marcos, and you have I forgot the other ones, but they're like more like elitist kind of like gallery spaces. It's like you go through like cornfields in order to get to.
Every building has them. No, I'm not calling anyone out here.
No,
Everybody actually the Bendix doesn't have that.
no,
They just have people at different levels of commercialness.
yeah.
That's more what I was thinking, more than because like I mean, shit, I want to be represented by Track 16.
Oh, that space is
It's so
amazing.
dope, but it's different. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like even though it's commercial. Yeah, I mean, Sean is accessible. It's not like I don't know. I've never tried to like network with the people at the bigger spaces like, but
I think because like, a lot of like the spaces, especially like the more art collectives, they run by peers and a lot of
yeah.
people that we know. So like a large percent of our groups are in these factions, and it's more accessible, and also it's more approachable. I think
Yeah.
like when I first started coming to Bendix, like I didn't know anyone. Uh, that was like the place to go as like an opening, and then eventually you meet people through your engagements, and you usually find people through the arts, through
I
shows and like.
my entire guys, the secret to my career and my position in the art world that I have is simply just hanging out at the Bendix. Like, I mean, we can get fucking into the details of like of how it works and stuff, but ultimately, like, just hang out here, man. You're gonna meet people. It's really
Yeah,
hard not to,
you
you
run
know.
into people constantly, and it's one of those beautiful things that it's just uh, an elevator or a flight of stairs up and down. When it gets crazy, it gets crazy. You're just like you're basically having to go through like different flights. But uh, it was one of those buildings like I came earlier on in my career, and I just like was super amazed by the energy, and I felt like eventually I would be here at my
I
practice
think
later
you
on.
fit perfectly. I
And
think,
so
and
yeah.
and you got a good relationship with the building. You had that space offered, like
Mm-hmm.
they for BLA Connect, they offered Serge a really nice space. The show
Yeah,
was
with
really
Hookup.
cool. You showed some work from Molly Schulman and a couple other friends of the show. That I can't remember
Yeah.
who else.
There was
Hagope was in
Hookup
there.
was in
You were in
there.
there.
I was in there as well as like Chinks Prado.
Only the people that have been on the show, actually.
Who else?
No,
I can't remember.
no, yeah, I was kidding. I was like, we don't care about any other artists. No, I was making a joke. No,
But yeah.
I was also cutting you out because anytime you try to make a list, you're gonna leave someone out.
Oh, and then
I
people
was,
get offended.
yeah, and I'm like trying to bail you out of that because
Like,
you didn't forget I cut off your list.
oh, okay, good. Sounds good. I'll take that. But yeah, the building itself, like I was my buddy Hookup, who I've known for the years. Like he's like in Spanish we call him like um amigo de todavía.
So you say,
It's like He's,
He's
and
a
then
super like lovely, friendly guy. Like I don't even know him, but just his essence is very fun.
from his face.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I met him through the years in the art scene, and then eventually like we did our residency at Torrance,
oh,
and
so he was
then
part of TAM. He
yeah, he
was
was part of
museum adjacent as well.
yeah, he's one of the members of Museum Jades, one of the
Okay,
founders, and then
that's Molly and
Molly
yeah.
and the whole groups and stuff
So
like.
was it a essentially kind of a museum adjacent show at the that you did at the?
Yeah, so it's one of those like so Hookup is like yeah the main CC person from like the building. So
Mm.
the person was like, hey, the who wants to I have this space. Does anyone want to use it or curate it? And he was like, yeah, we could do something. And we were eventually gonna do. He asked me to be part of it, and we were gonna do just us two. And then we were thinking about it. He's like, we
It's
have
a huge
friends. We
space,
have
man.
friends. Like
Yeah.
we can make a show, and we did that within like 2 or 3 days. We
Wow.
we just set up like especially members from like our
It
collective
looked
museum adjacent.
cohesive.
It's great.
It didn't. It didn't look like it was like just slapped together.
No, no, we and then we invited like a couple other friends that we know, and it worked out perfectly. And then they catered, and it was like the landing pad for BLA Connect, the Berlin Exchange, and it was like the basically the area where there was like free booze and free food, and everyone was going up from there and then
I was
going to
gonna
the
say
rest of
there
that.
was cheese there. I guess you didn't organize that.
No, that was part of the building,
It was
but
good cheese too. Oh man, now I feel bad. Now I'm feeling bad for the vegan.
so we had that space for the whole week, and we also had a closing on the when they had the performance on the terrace.
I think I came to that one. I think or
The last closing of the day.
did I think I didn't come to the both of them. I don't think. I think I only came
Dude,
to one.
that BLA Connect was insane. Like I literally stayed in my
Oh no, it
building.
was the same fucking weekend. Yes, I did both of them. That's how much we drank.
Yeah, it was insane. Like I was for BLA Connect, uh, and we also had open studios. So like I moved in here in July, and Hookup moved in June. Just so my lease at my other space was completed and we were good. But definitely, I was literally I was here in my space most of the time, and then trolleying up the flights and trying to get to the space that we co-curated, uh, which was the show now. Uh, but definitely, it was like an insane amount of people, and it was like everywhere was bustling. Every nook of the building was activated, and it was beautiful. That's how it should be as a building of creative spaces.
I've
This
never seen it like that since COVID.
I would say
That was the first time, and it was like glorious. We all felt like, oh,
we partially did that with the whole like high beams.
yeah.
We were doing the high beams, a collective within collectives. I think that's what they describe it.
Hmm. A
But yeah,
collective of collectives. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we did those throughout the building as well, and throughout different pockets of the city during lockdown and during COVID. And it was like one of those that uh, people wanted to be still present in this art sphere and be activated and find some type of normality in their day to day, especially with lockdown. Uh,
Do you know? Is there any effort to coordinate open studios and stuff anymore? Like
here,
last weekend, I think was the opening at TSA LA and Monte Vista. I couldn't
yeah, you
make
said
it.
an opening, right?
Yeah, we had an opening, but I couldn't make it.
I would
And
say I had a show.
what's that?
I had a show. I was definitely gonna stop by, but I
So
was
you
in Long
didn't have a
Beach.
show here? Yeah, no. What I'm trying to figure out, I mean, since you have a studio and you have your point of contact, because I don't manage the emails for
No.
Monte Vista, so I was just wondering if like there is an effort to do that. I should just ask Deborah instead of you.
Yeah, maybe go to
Deborah Bro's our director at Monte
whoever's on
Vista.
the lease basically
Yeah,
gets all like
gets all the
the
emails.
emails and stuff. But that open studio was definitely it was sick. People were here,
Yeah.
people were they were asking, and it was great energy. And people were just hyped up on seeing art and being like in these spaces. It's beautiful.
Have you felt a need to go back? Because obviously you're in a new space.
Yeah.
You lost a lot of work. I can't imagine. I've lost work in a smaller scale, like for a year, but never
Okay.
like a whole. I've heard. I know. What's his name? Peter Max Lawrence, who's been on the show. He lost all of his shit in a fire, which was
That's
also
well.
pretty rough.
Yeah, dude. Like it's
I can't imagine. So then now, like, you've lost everything.
yeah.
So the only references that you can go back to are the ones that you remember, or maybe documentation and stuff. Like, how do you? And you said that you wanted to get back into work, and I guess this is probably a good place to end to sort of talk about how, like, you go from that heartbreak. What's the process like? You. It sounds like you just buried everything and then started creating. Was it? Were you in the middle of a series of stuff? Oh fuck. Okay. Okay. So then what did you do?
Yeah, so I was working on a series. Like I had during that time frame, like I had two upcoming shows, and all that work was incinerated.
You had two shows that you were
Yeah,
making
that I
work
was working
for.
on, and so definitely was one of those things. Like it just lockdown and partially the fire. Like it made me be more selective of materials. Definitely when we were in the building that I was in, like when we didn't know how COVID was transmitted, and I thought I was gonna get COVID from a homeless person down the
Yeah,
street.
yeah.
Uh, I was looking at a
Back
way
when we were scared of each other.
oh, don't even even like that. Even dating was like insane.
Oh yeah,
I
I
could tell you
dated too.
stories about my dating experience during lockdown. And it was like, no, it's not fun. But definitely, it was. It made me like question my materials because I was using a lot of Yupa papers and I was using uh, panels in the past, and I started using vinyl. How that started with this newer material was because during lockdown, I literally came to my studio and I was trying to find something I could easily roll up and just shove it in my car and leave.
Mhm.
Grab materials that I needed and then work at home. That's because the building was asking us to not come in, but a lot of us were not following, but we were just uh, we wanted to at
Is
least.
this gonna affect the lawsuit?
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. This is like during lockdown. This building was still in place. It was one of those like it just it was more of like suggestions don't be in the space
Yeah, yeah.
because of like we we're not sure how
You might
things.
kill each other.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, like, everyone was just going and grabbing things, and I think most people were doing that. They were grabbing things, and uh, I started to grab vinyl as a way to like just because it was easy to roll up, it was easy to just store, and also like
But you had vinyl. You just had vinyl
I
already
had
at the.
vinyl already in my studio because I was
Okay.
thinking
And it
about.
didn't. It didn't melt or catch fire. How did it survive?
Oh no, this
You
is like
bought this afterwards.
afterwards, like
Okay.
before the fire. So before the fire, I was
Oh,
working with
okay.
like
This is all. This is the story is placed before the
yeah,
fire.
before the
Okay.
fire. So that really started with that conversation
Oh,
of.
because that's right. Because the fires happened after or during lockdown, right? The
Mhm.
fire, the first one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Because I interviewed you at the studio. I'm
yeah.
trying to like fucking remember the timeline. I'm sorry. I smoke weed.
It's all acceptable. But no, 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 but definitely like I started after a fire, like I started going back into utilizing this material and seeing more about. I started going back to the way most of the vinyl either has a pre-printed like pattern or some type of continuous pattern. Basically, they're tablecloths, most of them. And so what I do is like it reminded me of like my nostalgia of growing up, like going to my parents' place or my grandma's house and seeing that very bright cover table kind of like um, tablecloth, and for me like it always reminded me of home and reminded me of this like especially during lockdown it reminded me like being present with like my grandparents because of course we couldn't be with them, and so like it started invigorating the idea of being in spaces that I used to occupy.
Mhm.
And so I started using it and painting on it and allowing it to be what it is and not forcing it to be more like I was saying earlier, like vinyl itself is going to adhere to what it does.
Oh yeah, we said that
And
off air.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
we're not going to be, it's like, it's one of those things like all those creases, all these little nooks and stuff. You're not going to force it. It's going to do what it wants. And,
I think what you said is that it's technically not a painting, and I was like, well, then it's a sculpture.
and I
Fuck
told
off.
you it's food.
Yeah, it's like anybody that wants to be that much of a jerk about it. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe it's not painting.
Yeah,
Is this what were you painting this one at the no, this was too big at the live painting.
I did.
This was the one?
Yeah. So the
Oh.
only reason why this one survived partially because I finished this in my last space. This was because I didn't have a cargo van. I'd
Mhm.
go up in his van. He was able to store it and his space in his home. And so of course like or it would have been in the fire.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up during the high beams that when we did the snake one, I think
Mhm.
I forgot what
It's the
the
one
title
that's in
was.
the parking lot
Yeah,
out
across
here.
over here actually.
Yeah.
Um, I think even the artist I was here before was giving us giving Ricardo and I forgot who electricity running the wires
Oh, really?
because we're on the second floor
Yeah. Oh,
extension.
okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, because there was like a turned over car. I
oh,
think
oh that
O Projects was doing some
uh,
crazy like karaoke and shit. It was super loud. It was fun. I
dude,
mean,
that high beam was sick.
that
It
was
was like
great.
it was insane. There was so much like activations and that was
Yeah.
probably one of the better
What
ones.
I'm gonna say,
Oh,
the reason that I ask you about that is because one of the funniest things I've ever seen is you trying to live paint at a place where everybody knows you, and you could not fucking put brush to vinyl at all because everybody was like, "Hey, what's up, Serge?" Blah blah, and then people would come in and then they would go and like you would try to start and then like it was just so
oh my
ridiculous.
god.
It was like the most. It was like my favorite live painting performance I've ever seen because it's like somebody that just could not get any work done because everybody was like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" And I was part of it, you know. But then I
Yeah.
stepped back and I was like, "Oh shit!" I actually, I still didn't really know that many people. I kind of barely knew Deborah and I mean, I was around, but not quite, you know.
In Monte Vista or just
I wasn't part of Monte Vista at all
at that
then.
time?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that was like sort of because I remember High Beams the one that was at the one that you dressed up like Harry Potter.
Oh, nice. I was yeah, I was Harry Potter.
Yeah.
At also
We've been at pretty much all the High Beams together, I think.
yeah,
You went to the one in Torrance?
the SF
Oh, actually,
SPF.
did you go to the one in Colorado? Because if you did, then we're both posers. Or
Oh
if you
no, I
didn't,
didn't.
yeah.
It's like that Coachella reference. Like everyone went to Coachella to go see like Snoop Dogg, and
Yeah.
when he was like not Snoop Dogg, Tupac when he was a hologram,
Yeah.
or Daft Punk. I think everyone like in LA usually says, "Oh yeah, I was there,"
Yeah.
and it's like one of the ones like High Beams, Colorado. No, I didn't. I didn't. Fortunately, I didn't do
No, I
the
did it in my
caravan over
soul.
there. It was a
Yeah.
caravan, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was telling him that I thought like because he described it as like Mad Max, and
Oh, nice.
I was telling him, is it gonna have like all the little things that you can jump from car to car? You know, because they had all those like contraptions to swing onto like
Yeah,
other
yeah.
vehicles and stuff, and then you just go and you like look at art. That would be awesome. That would be like the
Oh,
fucking
nice.
waivers for that would be like 3 people would die for sure.
Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah, I think we've known each other for a while. Like I think we
You and
met.
me, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we met
I don't
like
remember when we met. I think
I knew of you.
we knew each other. Like I remember seeing you at events and recognizing you, just
Yeah.
not knowing you. And then when we interviewed, I think that was like after the one at. I think yeah, it was after the also gallery
Yeah.
High Beams
That was fun too.
because by the time we did the one here, or by the time they did the one here, and you were live painting, we had already done the show. We already knew each
Yeah,
other.
and we did like the one across the street, the one in the Molly did that
Yeah,
low beam
yeah,
live.
that was that. Those were the two ones that we had both like attended and shown work at, but never really crossed paths because it's like
Yeah.
because he was probably talking to too many fucking people. He definitely knows more people in the scene than me. I'm actually lucky to know him that he supports me in the show. So,
No,
and thank
thank
you. You've
you.
always been very, very supportive. I really appreciate that. And when on the lower moments where I'm like, I'm not gonna do this anymore, it's people like you and Sam Diebeck and people that check in that are like, yo man,
No, I tell you,
I
like this
appreciate
is
it.
I love these. Like the last podcast was amazing, and just seeing the progression of the show kind of expanding and you,
I'm complimenting you.
yeah.
You can't return the compliment. That now it's just weird. Now it looks like I fished for it. No, I
Yeah, I
appreciate
remember you telling me
that.
like, "Hey, I want you to do the podcast again." And I'm like, "Okay, it's cool, cool, cool." And then like you didn't touch back. And I'm like, "Oh, maybe like it's going in a different direction." I'm like, "Okay, I'm cool."
Oh no. I mean I think I do remember telling you like it's gonna take a while
Oh,
because I think it was still summer when
it was. Oh
when
god,
was the last time? Yeah, because I think it was no,
the last time I saw you was at
it was at Monte Vista
Vista.
Projects.
We were like just chilling out in the.
What was it? Because I remember it was Molly's show.
It was Molly and Bridget's.
Molly and Bridget's show. So that was like late. It was still kind of warm. I still wasn't recording. I
Yeah.
really only started recording again like this week. Like this is the fourth one I've done since starting up again. So don't worry.
No, I was like, I just like was like, oh, definitely like, but I seen like the shorts and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is so good,
Thank
so
you.
good.
It's gonna get better as I get better at it, and as I can dedicate more time to it.
No, it's a job, dude. Like it's insane. I don't even setting up. I saw you earlier setting up. It
Yeah.
was just like it's tedious work and getting audio and getting visuals and getting everything else.
But I was telling you I was having fun, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels like we're playing, especially since it's you. Like, we're just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm getting to show off to you, like, hey, bro, check it out. Zoom sucks. I'm like flexing to you, like, hey, oh, that camera or that camera?
I'm still trying to figure out like which camera to look at.
This is
But
yours.
this is mine. I know.
This is yours, and then this is the wide one, and then you're not. This is all mine. But you get the nicer one, so that when the lighting is not sufficient and this one doesn't do a good enough job, then people say that I look like I smell.
we talked about this, like your extensive sweating. Right?
Yeah. I was dude. That's why I wasn't filming for all that period. I'm gonna film nonstop until it gets warm again, and then that's it. I take the summers off because fuck, bro.
Summer was brutal for us.
Yeah, it was like, and it's not cute. I mean, I can also just bring a shirt, so if I need to pull, if I'm ever behind, because that's what I did for May Broadhead's episode.
Okay.
Who's the printer in Long Beach?
Oh, nice, dude. Long Beach is a great. I have a show currently in Long Beach, and
do you know Juan Gomez?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I know Juan Gomez for.
He's. I think he's gonna be the next episode.
Nice. Yeah, I know
his
him.
stuff is so interesting. Dude.
Definitely, like he's one of. I know him through the art scene, but I actually know his wife.
Oh, really?
Talking about
Gloria, right?
Or something like Lupita.
Lupita. Oh no, I'm confusing him with another guy.
So it's so funny going back to Catholic guilt. I grew up with her mom teaching me catechism.
Oh my god.
So it's so funny because like I met her at an opening. I'm like, what are you doing there? I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, oh no, my husband is showing. I'm like, and that's how like I met Juan, but I knew kind of his work. But it's so funny because even his Lupita's sister growing up and stuff, going to like these punk shows and rock shows, she was like, I would see her there. Even her older sister also was like my other catechism teacher, and me trying to go into like sneaking into like these 18 over like clubs and stuff, and she would be seeing me and drinking. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like, but she would just like look at me, but then she would like turn, like she was like socializing with her friends and stuff. But it was so fun, like just like growing up in like that atmosphere of going to church and school and
knowing everyone's secrets.
Yeah, I was like, but it's funny that like this, we intertwine. We think of this like this art kind of like community or art world being so mass and big and stuff, and yet we have like these inner workings. Of course, like if you talk about New York, like it's a little bit more, it's different than LA, definitely. But I think like here you find these little pockets of people that or of, and you build relationships like that.
I think just thinking about it right now, I don't know how many return guests I've had, but probably a few. But I'm close to like having met 150 artists.
Shit.
Like, I mean, if you take away the ones that return, like I know Alex has done it twice. You've done it twice now. Mm-hmm. But that's crazy. Like I'm thinking, like as you were talking, I was like, yeah, the art world is small. I was like, yeah, but I've also met a lot of people. No, because it is weird. Like, okay, so Sam Dybeck is this guy who is the director of Level 3 in Chicago. And one day he reached out to me, and then like, and he like likes the show. I like he does interviews as well. And so now I'll meet someone and I'll hit him up. And it's a matter of who got to them first between me and him.
It sounds competitive.
No. It's like because it basically what it comes down to is that we have very similar tastes. So we want to talk to the same people, and like we've realized that we've talked without even referencing each other. Like Claire Gatto, I had them on the show, and Sam had interviewed them, and so it's just funny. It is a small world. And it's nice to be intertwined with it and then be like, hey, people are doing like, I mean, because that shit's in Chicago. And then, Gauzier Ogini? Maybe not.
No.
I think we might be separate circles, but whatever. I mean, only for now.
Yeah.
But I forgot why I brought him up. But anyway, oh yeah, he like went to a residency with somebody that I interviewed in Detroit. So it's like, it's really a small world.
Yeah.
And then two people you know meet and you're like, oh shit, we're all friends. I mean, at least art friends, like,
Yeah.
like professional balance.
It's a balance work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think art friends are very much more supportive than if we were like MBAs,
Hmm.
or like, for example, I don't know that too many Wall Street guys would feel sorry for a guy whose apartment burned, whose life's work burnt down in a fire, and then would go
No.
benefit for them. It was like, yeah, just go trade, motherfucker. Like we're
I'll
much
try it
more.
in like.
Yeah, I think professionalism in the art world really just means like be polite.
Oh, definitely. But I think like we've definitely that's key. But we've all like met certain like artists that we don't fuck around with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes into territory. Like I'm one of those persons that I'm very. I think it's partially because I'm a Capricorn. I'm very like easy to cut people just like by, if I feel like you're just like my space is very sacred. My space, like time is very something that I
Yeah.
value, and so if you disrespect that or you just like absolutely like are being super uh, I wouldn't say ungrateful, but just being like just completely not respectful of that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
as much as I want to support you, I'll support you from a distance, and that's it.
And
But
if
I'll
you,
be cordial. I'll be cordial. Like I'm not gonna be an asshole and go like, oh no.
yeah, I think in the art world, I have this distinction between friends and people that I treat professionally, but
Yeah.
I don't really, like you said, I don't really fuck with. And then I am getting to the point where, like, if I record an episode, even though if it takes me 45 minutes, and even if you're being incredibly professional, but incredibly needy and in need of control of the episode,
Yeah.
this is content. This is not art. I'm not gonna sit here and edit the episode with you. If you tell me like, hey man, I said this thing, it could be a problem. Like I've had people be like, hey, and so it was like we talked about neoliberalism, and he's like, hey bro, can you like, it would be funny actually, can you like beep out when I say the brand because I actually work with them. And he was talking about how they have like it was shady labor practices, and it's just but it's funny like that. I don't want to fuck up your bag. Like this is
Yeah.
to me as funny as like the whole point of this this is not a got you show. So like if you're worried or stressed out that I'm gonna make you look bad, like come on, bro. Like why do I benefit from that?
Yeah.
But I think that people have that mentality of like being guarded because not everybody's part of a community in the arts that is like, like there's a lot of overlaps, but I think that's probably a lot more competitive sections.
Oh, definitely. Like I think we
we're
all.
we're lucky that we're in the like Carl Barada universe, the high beams.
He's like the governor of this whole building.
Katya, Sean Noyes, like all these people that are, Molly,
Mhm.
people that bleed for this shit, and they just do it because they can't do nothing else.
Yeah, and they're like people who are those people are definitely like extremely generous with their time and their engagements and their spaces.
Yeah.
Including other artists and trying to make shit happen. I think partially that whole hype beams how it came out and stuff. I was just like a need for activations and
community, yeah,
and
more than anything. That's all. That's the thing that like Carl was mostly emphasizing on his episode. I don't know if you got any chance to see his, but
I saw it. It was like that's a good episode.
yeah, and the video has gotten better since then. But it was the first one. That's where I had the thing where like I framed him like this, where his like the front of his face is like right on the edge of the frame because I was trying to put, and then I was like, no, this is a conversation. It has to happen a certain way.
And it's go back.
Yeah, like I actually like position, because if I position the mic out here, like there's like a system to it that took me a while to figure out.
Nice.
And you are lucky because yours probably looks pretty good. I think
can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
But I will have no editing control or ask you for like.
You've never been high maintenance, bro. I kind of roasted you on the first time that we met because I felt so broy with you, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know this guy. Era latinidad, But I was like, no, because it was like I wasn't like, I hope I wasn't rude, but it was like, I was like, damn, I'm kind of making jokes that are like,
Like, like if we know each other de toda
like
la vida.
yeah, mucha confianza. I took,
Yeah.
and I think that was the Latinidad thing.
Yeah, but also like, I think it depends on the vibing. Like if you're that banter goes back and forth
Yeah,
and stuff, like it's good.
You didn't feel like I was.
No,
I
absolutely.
didn't feel like you did, but now but yeah, you always fuck up.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you only play the highlights of when you fuck up.
Once you get political, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
definitely
no.
no.
No, I'm trying to not make it political because it makes the editing a lot easier.
Oh, definitely.
Because with the fucking Russia stuff and like the Ukraine war, I've just stopped talking about it.
I see your post.
I'm like, YouTube's not gonna like that. So
Yeah.
why make myself work? Yeah. And then also, I don't think getting riled up about shit is such a good look for me anymore. I think I could get away with it a little bit earlier but it just needs to be a little bit more about the guest. I think, if I'm gonna do it the way that I want to do it now. And also, I get sick of my own shit, So like that's why I was excited about this one, because I'm like, you know what, Serge does not get tired of talking about, like, he can connect ideas, and like he's not like, yes, I liked it, and then I have to be like,
Shoving it.
diarrhea coming out. So like, so I try to save the ones where I like dominate the show for when I feel like the person is just not gonna feel comfortable, and that's not like a diss to them. I mean, it can still be an entertaining. Those episodes tend to be more bantery, like, not that it's not with you, but I can let you like let it hang. But cool, man. Anything that you want to talk about before we head out?
Yeah, I think like I think I was going to talk about like of course like the fire and stuff like, but definitely I think something that's been like in my mind has been like aging in our community, aging as an artist, aging. How does that look like?
I don't want to talk about this.
No.
I'm going to end the episode.
No,
I'm
but,
older than you.
No, but it's just one of those things. Like, as I was looking at the way as a retrospect show or like a survey show, like in the years to come, how does that look when like a large percent of my archive is lost?
Yeah.
I'm like, am I going to be having like tablets or like holograms maybe? Let's see. But it's like one of those things, like, aging does have a factor in the way that we make work, but also like the image of being an artist. I think, people are more drawn to be more youthful than people who are aging. And we have my group of friends are just completely in the spectrum of back and forth and stuff. And even people that I've dated, it ranges from like age range and stuff. But it just it makes me question, like, how that looks like in, say, like, I'm 32, so when it in the next like 10 years, how's that gonna look like?
You're gonna look like this in 10 years, because I'm 42.
As a good mirror.
No, yeah, it's funny that it's really interesting that you say that, and I don't know what attributes to this. I have a few theories that I'm gonna throw out, but basically the biggest episode that this show has had, the biggest download rate that has ever had, was with this 19-year-old artist, Sophia Hefter-Smith. She actually is a really interesting painter. Her work is cool. It's very it's very graphic, and it borders on kitsch without like diving too much into like it being like cutesy. It has an edge to it. Anyway, it's great work. I hate when I end up describing people's work because I hope I didn't offend them. But yeah, like by like first week, 100 downloads, and this was when I was just restarting it back during lockdown, because I've taken two big breaks that have affected downloads.
And this is on Zoom, right?
This was during the Zoom.
Yeah.
It's still one of my it's one of my biggest episodes. It's like in the top 3. But so on YouTube it's doing well, and on downloads it's doing well. She's 19.
Nice.
19.
Awesome.
But I think that I attribute it to, yes, the thing that you talked about of youth. Then also just being, because she's not like, over sexualized or anything. She's just a young kid, with it, like, she's hip. She like maybe has that CKY, 1990s CKY vibe, like of a little alternative-y. But her work is just solid, and I think that her Instagram game is so crazy. I don't know why she ended up having like 8,000 more than anybody, followers more. Like I don't know how people, there's Deborah who has like 8,000
Mhm.
plus follower, Deborah Bros, and a bunch of other people. But Instagram's really hard to work that shit. So not only did she have thousands of followers, she had crazy engagement. Like people interact with her posts. It's not like
Yeah.
she just has people like followers that don't interact. It's crazy. So seeing that, I was like, oh my God, I got to learn from this kid. Like it's just, it was insane. Just like a huge spike in one person, And like, I mean, I guess I could just always book people like that, but that's not what I want
Yeah.
to do.
And
I
it
want to
go
have my friends on.
definitely. But it goes back to like the content, like, content creating and having time and also like investing. I think, if you want something to be active, you need to be present. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, we think like a post, like for me, like if I post something or put a story, that's enough. In reality, that's not. That's barely
Yeah.
making the mark or just making.
Now it for sure, 100%. Where everybody's still functioning with a very outdated Instagram
Yeah.
mentality.
It's like, I don't even look at like even I haven't even converted my Instagram to like a business where I could see like the traction of it. And
Hmm.
it's one of those like I'm still in that between line of like of course in the end it is a business. We are visual artists, we're making things, we're selling things. And it goes back to being active and reinvesting, time and trying to see more of it. And partially it's engagement and not just one platform, it's
Yeah.
multiple platforms.
Well, if you're gonna do any, do YouTube,
Yeah.
because they're gonna win. It's just you can't fuck with Google. Like they're too big of a company. Their algorithms are too strong. Like seriously, I mean, how do you use any other search engine? You
As
know,
Google, no.
no. And then now the best search engine also has the best like platform. It just makes sense. I mean, I know they didn't invent Google. I know that they bought it out and then they monetized it, but
No.
Google is so powerful, they don't want it to be as powerful as it is. You
Mm.
get what I'm saying? Like it is such a powerful tool that legacy media is always scared of it, so they're always smearing people on there. I mean, there are some people that act in bad faith, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there's always like people like CNN is always like, "Oh, there's all these fucked up shit." Why do you think they do that? Because they're competition, And now you got someone in their basement that can do the fucking news. And like I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable because of people like what's his name, um, Alex Jones and shit. But like, dude, so yeah, I mean, I would say an aggressive Instagram strategy doesn't make sense
Mm.
anymore. Even an aggressive TikTok strategy doesn't make sense anymore. If you're gonna do anything, do YouTube Shorts. There is a woman called Vivacious Honey who is
Oh.
she's all she does is fashion, try on stuff. She doesn't even post on YouTube long form stories. She's got a billboard now because she's like got millions of followers. She's been posting for 2 years. I know that like people think of YouTube differently, but like seriously, man, my shorts still get views weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And the more shorts I make, the more that gets, and you don't even have to make long form content.
Yeah.
So I would say the only like if you're not gonna just kind of do it the same way that you've been doing it, if you really want to like get your numbers up, you go YouTube and then you distribute elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's like for artists out there. I'm sorry, I know it's bad news. No one wants to be an artist and a content creator. It's not that bad.
And
Just take videos of your paintings instead of taking pictures of them.
no,
Like,
I've seen
yeah.
like, especially like reels, like, people making like processing work and like from beginning to end.
Yeah, yeah,
And people are so captivated, or even like paint drying, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
insane. It's like people are looking at those.
Or just paint mixing.
Oh yeah, have you
Motherfuckers, they
seen that?
open a thing of paint and just like it's an interesting thing, and it's an interesting exercise to keep. I mean, that's the attention economy now. You know, like as much as we like to make paintings and stuff like that, how do you present your paintings or whatever,
Yeah.
your sculpture in a way that is engaging to someone? And there are benefits to it, right? Like if you are doing 3D work, with a video, everybody can see all of it.
No.
Like you can walk around the whole thing. You can do whatever you want, and so I would say, like, not to make this the advice, the what's my thesis advice section, but since we're talking about
Yeah.
like just trying to figure it out, and since I'm like literally studying this stuff and doing it, I definitely think that you guys won't be my competition. We'll be allies. You'll be making content, then I'll have you on the show, and then you can promote the show, and everybody gets. It's like woo, So that's actually one of the things that I like about doing the show. I think that there's like people have been interested in doing podcasts. I've seen podcasts rise and fall. Mine almost fell too. So I'm not. It's a hard fucking thing. You have to really want to be a podcaster to podcast.
Yeah.
You really, and I do. I like, in terms of day jobs, there's nothing that I want to do else, So anyway,
That's good advice, and I think that just amplifies us to do better, or not necessarily do better, but just be more, be open to different things.
yeah, and I think that like everybody benefits for some, like if you want to emulate what I did, which is literally get to know people by making content of them to promote the scene, people embrace that. People want to be documented. You're not annoying people. I used to think I was. You're not inconveniencing people. People, like, if you're part of a scene and your people are interesting, make content with them. Be like, hey, I think all my friends are really cool. You don't even have to do a full podcast. You could just be like, I think this friend is really cool. Check out their work. We're doing a studio visit, blah, blah, blah. Bam. People will appreciate that shit. Like, I mean, some people won't, but some people will get like, will want control of how they're represented and stuff like that. You're going to run into stuff like that, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'd say, future proof your shit. And I'm for making money off of your work or making a living as an artist in whatever way you can, so. That's my end of my rant. Sorry. I've been so good at not ranting today.
That was a rant. It was good, but informative rant.
But yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything that we can promote for you?
So I do have a show in Long Beach at Flex Art Space.
And what are the dates? Because this might not be out in time, but we always like to document that things are being done.
It opened last Saturday. So from November 19th until I think December 17th.
December 17th.
Yeah, it's in Long Beach towards like Belmont Shore. It's like in a really kind of smaller gallery. Betsy runs it. It's a great space. So I'm showing with 3 other artists, Evie, Michelle, and I think you pronounce it Karani. But different artists in different media. It's called Shape Patterns and Story, which is definitely a really, I think just like the pairing of the artists that were in the show, it works really well. So that show continues until December. What else I have in store before the year ends? I'm doing like a fundraiser show for I'll be part of a fundraiser for Dear and Ray. So doing that whole like postcard fundraiser.
Oh wow!
That's like December.
Did the fucking open call ended?
I don't know.
Or is it not an open call?
I think so.
It's
maybe
by invitation.
It's like usually
it's like I'll make a postcard, but I probably missed the deadline.
Yeah, no, he'll go up like since he's part of Dear and Ray, and I know a bunch of people in that group and stuff. He was like, "Hey, would you be interested?" I'm like, "Dude, of course." Like, I'd done it in the previous years. They didn't do it during like lockdown and like COVID, but now everything is going back, and I think they're having it in December 10th. So I'm gonna make smaller work that I've been doing these miniature pieces that I've gotten some amazing response from people, and also
they're great, man.
Thank you.
The one at the show, the BLA show was pretty fun.
Thank you.
I like it, perfectly placed.
Thank you. And like
I need to find the video I took of that. Because I took.
That could be a reel.
Short. Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So there's pieces like so I'm gonna have like maybe 1 or 2, and I think everything is sold at $50. So it's a great way to collect work, especially if you're like looking for like gifts or just trying to start or add to your art collection. It's a great way to purchase friends' work at a very affordable price of $50. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that, and yeah, definitely you can find me on Instagram at surgeonbottle and search Wiltron.com. And yeah, definitely check out and see what I'm working on.
And if I asked any question that has an answer, not like a question that is ambiguous, but
Yeah,
this is what I'm trying to do now. If I ask a question that neither of us had the answer, because sometimes I do that and we're like, oh, I don't know, just put it in the condiments. In the
in the
condiments.
comments.
I said condiments, but I meant put it in the comments. And we'll see you next week with another guest with another topic that may or may not be art related. I'm going to evaluate this episode as very art related.
And very informative and just like
Well, you're very experienced art. I mean, like I would definitely say that I learned from how you move in the space. You know, like
thank you.
I think that I mean I don't know, I watched this guy not be able to paint. I know my place in the learning order. I have not surpassed the master. I am still but a student. But no,
Definitely.
you're a very sweet guy, and
Thank you.
everybody says very nice things about you when you're named.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
It could be
you don't
completely opposite.
you don't have to have any paranoias about people liking you.
Thank you, thank you. But yeah, definitely check in the show, and definitely thumbs up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like this
Like
video,
and subscribe.
subscribe,
It gives me
get those
warm feelings
numbers.
inside, and yeah, we're gonna monetize this. I'm sorry. I'll bleep out that word. We're gonna monetize this thing
We're gonna
and
get
pay
that
dudes like
money.
this guy. All right. I guess we'll wrap up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.